Welcome to Prime Space, a Prime Coaching Academy podcast with your host, Elias Scultori. So hello, everyone. This is one of these episodes that it's so joyful for me because I have a guest and a very special guest. Today, I'm going to have a conversation with Allison Thomas. Hello, Allison.
Hello, Elias.
Wonderful to have you here. Allison is one of these people that when you are in conversation with Allison, there is like your muscles relax because Allison is such a joy to talk with. There is such a peaceful and energizing energy that comes from you, Allison, that I'm always at awe when I talk with you. So thank you for being here with us.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know Allison, Allison has a long career in the corporate world, particularly in HR. She worked for 20 years at Starbucks, and now she is the Associate Director of Team Effectiveness Lead for Technology, Media, and Telecommunications in a global consulting firm. So she has worked quite extensively in the corporate world. Allison is also an ACC coach, and she is ready. I can tell you, she's ready for her PCC or more. And we are very excited about this. One good thing for you to understand about Allison is that when I asked her, I would love to share something personal about you. And she thought a little bit, and then she was like, I want you to tell people that I am an advocate for social justice. Equity shows up everywhere. And Allison is passionate about advocating for equal rights for all people. Perhaps that's one of the things that I love about you, Allison. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Elias. Yeah.
So, Allison, the purpose of our conversation here today, I invited you because you are an internal coach. And you have worked with big corporations, world-renowned corporations, and you have brought this coach approach and you have used your coaching skills. So I would love to hear your perspective from that side of coaching. And the first question I have for you is that you had this career in corporate world, and you were being very successful, and then came coaching. What brought you to coaching?
It's such a great question, Elias, and so fun to talk about. When I made the pivot from Starbucks to where I currently work, the consulting firm, the person who hired me in, who is actually now a full-time internal coach with our coaching practice, talked with me about the coaching culture at the organization, and in particular, her role as a coach, which I had no idea before I joined this organization that coaching, what she kind of described at the time, big C coaching, was a thing. Because I'd always thought, I work with leaders. What I now know, I was a consultant, but I approached it with care, right? And seeing each person individually, and really wanting to help them not just solve that short-term problem, but really figure things out and get someplace pivotal for them, which of course now I'm like, oh gosh, I got to be a coach and do that. But she really opened up the door for me to know what coaching is and then actually to even pursue it. So seeing an organization that valued coaching, that really leveraged coaching for people to be successful in their current roles and find their next role is what inspired me to become a coach.
So like it seems that it was a natural progression in your corporate career. Here comes the opportunity for you to bring this skill, and thank you for saying, okay, so let me go in and get formally trained so that I can do this well.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. What do you like the most about coaching internally?
It's so much fun in many ways. One, I do call it sort of my internal side gig, right? Because it's not my full-time job. It's just part of what I do. And yet it infuses itself into everything that I do, and which is a really wonderful thing. So I think where I'm doing it truly in a formal coaching role, you're able to meet people and create a safe space as an internal peer. Like you really approach that partnership in a way that is just beautiful. And when you get to see folks who you know the internal kind of challenges they're navigating and watch them work through those barriers, like there's just a whole different level of appreciation to see that kind of problem get unlocked, and to be in partnership with them in that trusted space. And I think the piece that I love the most is the safety that you can offer when you're an internal coach and folks really come into that with openness and seeing you as that partner and that trusted ally for them, to have a really safe space to just say everything they need to say
Mm.
is pretty special as an
Well,
internal coach.
it's so beautiful to see you describing this, because then you can see in the middle of your in between your words, your passion for coaching and
Mhm.
your skill as a coach. Two things that you said there that to me are so important. This idea that the coach approach and the coaching mindset and even the coaching framework can be applied beyond the one-on-ones. That there are conversations that you're going to have, there are meetings that you're going to have, there are ways of relating and leadership roles that you can apply the coach approach and support the leaders in that. The other one is the systemic aspect of it, that because you are a part of the organization, there is perhaps a more comprehensive, I don't know, or a bird's eye view of the development of that particular individual that seems to be quite powerful. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know that it's not just roses, that there are some challenges.
What do you mean?
So I wonder, like, what are the challenges that you have faced being an internal coach?
I do think the other thing I would say on the other coin of trust, right, is because you are an internal coach, sometimes it can be harder for folks. Some get there really quickly with trust. They're like, "You're internal. I got connected to you. I know you're going to be amazing for me." Whereas others are like, "You're internal. Can I trust you? Are you going to talk to anyone?" Like they don't say this, but you can sort of feel that to work through that, I don't want to call it baggage, but some natural worries, right? Like, can I really trust you? Takes more time. And for some, you just can't get past it, which for me is always like a hard thing, right? To realize that someone wants coaching and could really benefit from it, but they're just in too raw of a place to be able to
Yeah.
trust someone internally. So I would say that's one challenge, Elias. The other challenge that I would call out for the coach themselves, right, is that you are part of the organization that this person is navigating through. So your own experience is
Oh,
going to come up, and you have to be prepared to work with that, right? Like it, of course, everything you do should and is client centered, but sometimes they're going to bump up against things that you're triggered, right? Like, oh, I know, I know this. So then of course it becomes about you, not about the client. And so that's a very frequent watch out for me, right? As a coach, is like, how do I shake that off and just be truly aware that this is about the coachee and their experience rather than my own.
very interesting. So, because you are very familiar with the environment, that can be a plus, but that can be also tricky because you may be experiencing some of the same feelings as the client and may identify a little too
Oh,
close.
mhm.
Very
Yeah.
interesting that concept. I appreciate that. What do you do like when you see the first point that you mentioned, the first challenge about trust? What are things that you keep in mind when you see that there is that challenge, and to support that particular client into perhaps overcoming that challenge of
You know,
trust?
I think it's just trying to figure out, I think of a couple recent examples for me. One, another beauty of being an internal coach is I have this incredible resource of fellow internal coaches that I can tap, and chances are they've experienced something similar. So I leverage my internal network to say, what did you do here? Or find a tool that might resonate with that particular individual. Like if they seem like they need a structure that I may not necessarily apply, I'm definitely more of an unstructured coach here, right? Figure out something that just will tick some of those trust boxes to make them feel like there's a value that's coming out of this that will, kind of give them that sense of I really am going to get something and I can trust this person. So just, of course, we're all meeting that individual client where we need to meet them at in each individual, but probably lean in a little more specifically to like, what's a need here that I could proactively see if it might meet their need.
You just brought up another point that, to me, whether if you are an internal or external coach, if you are a coach, it's so crucial, which is community. And the beauty of one of the good things about being an internal coach is that you have a group of coaches there that you can collaborate. Community for me, actually, I talk about this on the second episode that I made for Prime Space. It's this the aspect of being in community as a coach. You just highlighted, the beautiful points. You have access to other experiences, and you can grow and you can share. And so thank you for bringing this up. I appreciate. If someone is there in their coaching in their organization, this person has a role and a full-time job in an organization and would like to start or would like to create an internal coaching program. Any tips for that person?
I think, probably, one for me, this might sound kind of obvious, but get the training, right? If you don't already have it, to be that coach who has the accreditation over time, but really has the expertise to be able to talk about coaching and what the value is, but also find some internal clients to start to build a business case for what's the transformation that's possible. What I know that we found at our firm that's really built not just a culture of coaching, but a just ton of belief in the process of coaching is that we look at what does the data show us and around the efficacy. Like we look at the number of coachees and what they achieve after coaching. And so I think find the story, right, that will build the business case and tell that story of the impact that you're having, kind of the tangible and the intangible, to really create an appetite for it. Because it can be so transformational for individuals and then, of course, the organization.
That's beautiful. Like the evidence, once you show the evidence, there is no question about it, right? There is an evidence of the effectiveness of this particular process. Of course, the people making the decisions would appreciate that. And thank you. The data, right? People love that. And I so appreciate that you started with the idea of coach training. I'm passionate about coach training and being able to really know what we are doing so that we can do this effectively. Well, Allison, I'm so sorry that it's just a short episode here. There is more for us to talk about, and I'm sure that you're going to be back.
Oh my goodness, what a pleasure, Elias. Thank you. Would love to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this. Allison, if anyone wants to get in touch with you and continue the conversation, how can they connect with you?
My LinkedIn profile and my inbox there, I monitor that regularly. So I would welcome any outreach to have a follow-up conversation. Well, a first conversation with anyone whose interest is piqued. Happy to chat more.
Wonderful. So connect with Allison on LinkedIn and continue the conversation. Allison, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this with others. And I will talk to you next time. Take care, everybody.